Hey, friends and friends and family to be strangers. I am starting a YouTube channel called Humboldt and Free. And this is a dream of mine that I've wanted to do for a very long time to share my story. And yeah, so I'll just go ahead and start with today. Today is March 22nd. I know you're seeing this on March 23rd, which is my 45th birthday, but I am recording this on the last day of my 44th birthday. And today is a special day. It is March 22nd, which just happens to have been both my parents' marriage anniversary, and then it was also my very first best friend's birthday. Her name was Charisse, and she passed away when I was, I think, 18 or 19. I don't really know the exact details. I just know that, around middle school, after her parents divorced and my parents divorced, I moved away. I actually moved here in eighth grade to Arcata, here in Humboldt County. And then I moved back to Reading shortly after for my high school years, but we didn't go to the same high school. But I would run into her once in a while, and I could tell that she was doing drugs or hanging out with a different kind of crowd. So and by drugs I mean hard drugs. You know, I did my own fair share of some drugs while I was a teenager as well, but I don't think it was to the same extent. We'll get into that. We'll get into my story, as episodes continue. And I just wanted to talk about her because she was such a pivotal person in my early childhood. I met her before she started kindergarten and I started first grade. My mother put me in a private school at 4 years old for kindergarten, so I ended up repeating first grade twice. The first year I was in first grade and she was in kindergarten, and then the next year we both were in first grade together. However, we didn't have the same class, and that was when I really started to notice, we were equals. And when she went to school, before we went to school, I remember us playing, I think out front of my house in our front yard. And she said, when we get to school, we should tell people we're cousins. And so we did. We told people we were cousins, and it stuck for years. I remember telling people we were cousins in like fourth, fifth, sixth grade. Just like standing in line at lunch, and if there was a sub or something, she would always tell him, like, she's my cousin. And I don't know if anybody actually believed us, but it was kind of like that secret lie that we both, said or did or whatever. And I'm sure that that helped her feel more comfortable going into a new school. But as years passed, we didn't have that great of a relationship, and we drifted apart. But I always think about her the day before my birthday. There was one birthday I remember specifically where I wasn't even allowed to have a birthday party because I think she threw her birthday party on my birthday or something like that, and it just was like ruined. So I ended up going to her birthday and not having one of my own. But yeah, so having a best friend whose birthday is the day before yours, and then she passed away, so young, and she had a son that she left behind. I don't know his name, but you know, I raised four boys of my own, so I think about that, often about her son growing up without her and how devastating that would be. And sadly, she's not the only one that I lost at such a young age. I had another friend named Teresa Taylor, who I grew up on swim team with, and she was a dancer, and I was a dancer, and she also had a son who was very young, and me and her did go to high school together, and she was such a shining star. Like, she was so driven in her dance. I don't remember her taking any dance classes like I did when I was from 2 years old till whenever. It was like I was trained. I was trained by the Laker girls and some Hollywood dance choreographers and things like that. And she wasn't, but she was so good. And she started her own dance team through the high school. and then again through the local community college, and she just nailed it. She was driven, and she fell in love very young, had a boy, and then she got into a car accident. And from what I understand, her child was in the child safety seat in the back, and she was ejected from the car, and she did not survive, but the child did, and he did grow up without his mom also. And it just breaks my heart because these two women were like just beautiful souls, you know. And a third friend of mine, her name was Heather Carpenter. So hard to talk about her because when you think of the most adorable, blonde haired, blue eyed girl with the most beautiful smile and the sweetest heart, that's all I could say about her. I don't think I ever fought with her. She just always included me, always loved me, always, you know, made me feel like I belonged. And she had the cutest giggle. And we enjoyed laughing together. And, her parents are people that I just absolutely admire. They have gone through so much pain. Not only did they lose their daughter to a terrible, like brutal murder and have to go through a really long, treacherous trial for that man to be found guilty. But they also lost their son, I believe, to cancer, and they have one daughter left. And they also lost their car. Their car. I'm saying their car because of the car fire, but it wasn't the car fire. It was the campfire in Paradise. They lost everything. That's where they lived. They lost their house. I'm sure they lost all of their memories, their physical, tangible memories that they have of both their daughter and their son. Like, erase it and they start all over. And it's like, it's a level of detachment that I never want to know. I just hold them in such high regard. So part of the reason I'm sharing my story is because of her and in honor of them, but also in honor of myself and my soul. I have come to realize that we are born into this body with, I believe, a perfect soul, a whole soul. And as we go through life, we experience contrast, and that contrast is often painful and doesn't seem to make sense at the time, and sometimes never makes sense. But I know that when you get to a certain point in your life where you get to really do the hermit, you get to be a hermit and you go into your soul and you really start to do the work. I've been doing the work for a very, very, very long time. It's been a long process, and I've raised 4 kids. I was a military wife. I owned a business. I've had a lot of fun stories along the way, and these are the things that I am looking back now into my life and doing what I call a soul retrieval, which is I'm sharing these stories with you, but also in my heart, I'm calling back the parts of myself that were broken. And so I look to those 3 women and I see that they never had the chance to do that. And I'm now 45 years old tomorrow. And I got married very young, was a wife for almost 10 years, and divorced at 26. I was in a very, very abusive relationship, and I got out and I became a better person. And I raised 4 incredibly, incredibly soft, gentle, but yet still masculine men who have careers, and some are making more money than I have ever made in my whole life. And at a very young age. And I'm just so, so proud of them, but I'm proud of the work that I did in the process. I'm proud that I left their dad and created a life of my own, started a business, got my degree. I got 2 degrees. I got my AA degree while I was married, finished it right after my divorce started. And then it took me 10 years, but I earned my bachelor's degree. And that was something I was very proud of. I graduated in 2020. And it was an online school, but it just meant the world to me to be able to finish something like that. Yeah. So these are stories that I want to share. These are stories that I want to leave as a legacy, but also being from this side of the journey where I am at not a crossroads, but I get to draw the line in the sand, create a new future for myself. I'm calling back those pieces to myself. And I'm including you guys in the journey because it's part of my life's work is to shine and continue to shine despite the struggles and the vitriol and the chaos that we all are going through right now. And I have tools, I have wisdom that I have gained along the way. And yeah, I just know what my life's purpose is, and that's to step out and shine, baby. And that's my North Node. I'm a Leo North Node. So here I am, ready to shine, ready to share my life with you. And I hope that you'll share your life with me. I have a lot of things planned. I am building my website right now. I am hoping to have some authenticity courses as well as resilience courses and energy courses and all kinds of stuff. You know, I was an evangelical Christian for a long time, and so I have deconstructed a lot of religious programming and non-religious programming. So I hope you'll stick around and share this beautiful journey with me as I move forward. I love you guys so much. It is my birthday, so feel free to leave me a comment. Yeah, I just look forward to what's to come. Thank you so much for being a part of my life up to this point. I look forward to what's ahead. Take care, guys.